boys and girls, you are in tune to another episode of Marvelous with your peoples. Big G, what's up, man?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
And you here with that boy Dane. What's up, Dane?
Yo, let's get to work.
And of course, it's your main man, Mark. Listen, if you like what you're seeing and you love the content that's being provided here at Marvelous Talk, please make sure that you just smash that like button and go ahead and do us a favor. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and also share it. Share it because we got some good information ahead of you today. Now, look, we are 2 episodes into the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be real frank and honest with you. At this point, I know Frank and I know Honest. They both of my homies. But I'm going to tell you the truth. Marvel has thoroughly impressed me with the script writing and the subject matter of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. At this point, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we're seeing something different in the MCU that we've never seen before, right? They did tackle the whole trauma and how things go when you're hurt and you're dealing with pain. With WandaVision, they dealt with that, and that's a heavy issue to deal with. But the issues that we're getting into within Falcon and the Winter Soldier are definitely some that I think that are real close to home and close to heart. What do you guys think? Talk to me about that.
Well, before we get into it, in case you don't realize, we talking spoilers on this show. So if you haven't watched the episode, I would encourage you, don't listen to anything else we say until you've watched the show. Then you can come back and catch the rest of the commentary. So, but back to my man, Ma's question, man. Yeah, Malcolm Spellman, who's the main writer of the show and executive producer, man, he's doing a phenomenal job with this show, man. I mean, they are bringing social issues to life, which brings to mind, I want to ask y'all this because someone made this comment. And they said they didn't particularly like this direction because they turn on Marvel shows to escape the real world. But you got the real world coming into it, and they don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to deal with all this racism stuff that they bringing in, because when I watch Marvel, I want to watch action. I don't want to see all this social drama stuff. So I'm kind of in a catch-22 with that, because I'm like, how do you let people know what's going on if you don't bring it into entertainment? It's almost that mindset of like back in the gladiator days. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just entertain us. We don't care if you die or not. You just here to entertain us. Or like with sports figures that stand up for social issues, y'all should just be dribbling the ball. But we more than that as people. So I just want to get y'all take on it from their perspective, man.
Well, so I'm just going to tell you something, and I know G's fist to hit this real hard. Marvel, it began like this. So this ain't new. This really ain't new. I mean, these characters have been written long before we got to this place, but it's just a perfect opportunity to open up the can. Talk to him, G.
Yeah, so, if you really understand the mind of like Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and understand like how social justice, racism, and all the other things that we face now in today's world was the focal point of the 60s, the 50s, 60s, and 70s when they was originally writing the content of the comic books, right? So there's really no difference between the social justice issues that we see going on right now in America and the social justice issues that was going on in the 60s and the 70s. So Marvel has always took the time to address, as far as the original guys, the Stan Lees, the Jack Kirbys, they addressed those issues in a way that made it easy and open to bring out, into the broad public and not be so controversial. That's the reason why they created, like the picture that's behind me, those X-Men, classic X-Men characters. They were from Russia and from Africa and from Germany and from Tokyo. And that was the first time you had seen characters from different racial denominations brought in. They backwrote the story of Isaiah Bradley being, the first Captain America to address the, social issues in the comic books. So I want to commend Kevin Feige for him, like really bringing this thing out, because we can't move forward unless we deal with what's happened in the past. Yeah. And that's like the central theme of what I think is going on in the show.
Absolutely.
Exactly right, G. Exactly right, man. And this brings us to where we start. You know, we start with the new Captain America and Agent Walker. And he is in his old high school football dressing room, right? There's an interesting dichotomy in this scene, right? They don't tell you, but you know, you'll have to figure it out that this is his wife that's talking to him, right? And his wife just so happens to be African American.
Or his girlfriend. They really didn't specify,
Right?
but they together. They together.
They together, right? And they've been together since high school, right? So here we have her talking to him, telling him, hey, you got this, you can do it. She's encouraging him. And then in walks his best friend, closest confidant, you know, and we'll find out more about this guy just a little bit later, you know, Mr. Hoskins. And, you know, when he comes in, he talks to him and he tells him, hey, man, you got to wear the suit. It's part of the job. This is what we're doing. Now, this scene just gives me some vibes that was just kind of, and I'm going to tell you why my vibes were a little off on this scene, you guys. I was off because of the simple fact that he's looking at what he's doing as a job, right? He's looking at what he's doing as a job. It's a task. That's all this is. It's a job, right? So I'm interested to hear, you know, you guys break down on this scene, because in my mind, I'm just like, Cap would have never thought about this as no job. This is who he is versus it being a job. Talk to me, Dane. Talk to me.
Well, it's interesting because what it made me think of in modern times, if you think about it in modern times, it made me think of the scene in Captain America First Avenger when he was out selling, you know, they were selling whatever, the Easter seals or whatever to get the public involved with supporting the war. He was an entertainer. I mean, that was what he was in the beginning. As they said, this is a way that you can help your country. But so before he was even fighting and stuff, you remember, he was on these stages and he was, you know, what was funny, interesting, I don't know if y'all caught it, but the band, the marching band that was jamming, I'm like, Marvel and Met Drumline, it was awesome. But they were playing the same song, the Star Spangled Man, that they were playing in Captain America First Avenger, the same scene that I'm talking about. So it gave me that kind of vibe that he's trying to sell himself as Captain America. Of course, we know he's a hell of a soldier, man. I mean, the dude, they go into you, they show you he ain't no spring chicken. The dude he's a bona fide baller soldier. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they studying his body at MIT and he's won 3 congressional medals. So, like I said, to me, it got this vibe. He was trying to let the world. I mean, they said he'd already been on tour, you know, so kind of the same scenario that we saw when Cap first came on the scene before he actually became a fighting man. It was almost that same vibe that I got from it. Big G, I'll throw it up to you, man.
Man, I'm going to tell you, Dane, you're right on it, you know, as far as what I picked up as well. But, you know, the interesting thing was, you know, I went back and actually watched Captain America, the First Avenger after episode 2. And I saw a major contrast between John Walker and Steve Rogers. John Walker relished in it. Steve Rogers ran away from it, right? And so, you know, that always brings me back to the line that the guy who made the super soldier serum said, that whatever's in you, you're going to become more of what you are. So you can already see that John Walker like relishes in it, you know, like he likes to be the center of attention. Matter of fact, he even had a throwback callback when he touched his fingers on the thing that said John Walker number 10. It was almost like he was reliving a moment that he'd done in high school where everybody and their mom knew he was the man. But I'm going to give y'all an interesting fact about this. This actual scene is a throwback from the Marvel Comics. When John Walker was introduced as the new Captain America, he was sabotaged at his high school stadium, and his parents was killed during his scene like this, where he was in a crowd and all whatever else. So it made him be traumatized, and which then, you know, Hydra, he was able to go down that slope where Hydra manipulated him and all whatever else, and it eventually became the U.S. agent.
Wow.
So this was like a major deep cut throwback to the comics, man. And I was like, oh man, I'm digging this. I'm digging it, you know?
Yeah.
You know.
And it was crazy because we get to the scene where Dane was talking about Big G, and where, you know, he's being interviewed on Good Morning America, right? And you know, he had rehearsed the line, "Good morning, America. Good morning."
He was so stiff.
You know what I'm saying? And he had rehearsed it. And then she goes into his accolades. Now, first and foremost, she said that they had studied his body and he tested off the charts. He tested off the charts for speed, agility, strength, right? But then he comes back and says, "I'm not super strong like Banner," talking about the Hulk, right? Or he doesn't have a suit of armor like Iron Man. But here's the deal. In this moment, I realized in my heart of hearts, and I'll support it again here in a minute. If he hadn't already taken the serum, the super soldier serum, he's gonna. And I think he already has had it. And I'm gonna tell you why here in a minute. You know, if they're studying in his body, why? Why are they studying his body? He was a regular soldier before then. They didn't say nothing about Mr. Hoskins' body being studied. They hadn't said anything else about anybody else's body being studied. Why are they studying this man's body? If not to monitor the super soldier serum that they've already put inside of him. But I'm gonna let G take this one first because I already know he's chomping at the bit. He got some stuff that he want to share.
No, that dude ain't had the formula yet, bro. What it is they're studying him because this is the throwback or the call to the Weapons Plus program. You know, the Weapons Plus program, what they do is they study human beings, animals, organic material, and all kind of whatever else, and they're trying to create the ultimate weapon. So basically, they're saying that this guy is the prototype of what we wanted to inject. We want to inject the formula into. It's almost like if you go back to the original Captain America, the first Avenger, and like the one guy tested off the charts, but then the professor that was like studying him was like, nah, he don't have the right heart. He don't have the right mind. He don't have the right spirit. So if I give this dude the super soldier formula, we're going to have a mess on our hands. So like that person is no longer there. He's no longer present. So there's no conscience to it. They just want a weapon, you know, and I think that's a big central theme of what we're seeing across the board in Marvel. They want weapons, man, at any cost. You know, even if you go back and look at the White Vision, they want weapons. So, you know, I know Dame, I know you got some stuff too, because, you know, this your thing.
No, man, I mean, y'all hit it. I mean, the thing that's funny to me is that you just brought up something, Sean, that just makes me think is that people are so hungry for this formula to make a super soldier that we thought that the super soldier serum situation after Banner and all this other stuff, but here it is. We got it on the scene again. I'm getting ahead of the show. I know that, but it's just funny to me that we cannot get away from this Weapons Plus scenario with trying to build a perfect soldier. And it's like, when is it going to end? But it's just,
never.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Men that are hungry for power will always lust for it.
Yeah.
And when you have these people out here creating super soldiers, when everybody's super, shoot, I mean, the average people, they rule over like gods. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It brings me back to the Loki scene where he had everybody kneeling and was like, yo, I'm a god, y'all puny. And Cap shows up and was like, yo, you know, last time I came in a situation like this, I had problems. You know, I was standing in front of Adolf Hitler. You know, so here we go. You know, he goes through the whole spiel, you know, and then we pick up with actually Bucky was watching.
Yeah. Man.
And I'm going to tell you, At this point, I feel Bucky didn't have to. I didn't have to hear what Bucky said later on to know why Bucky was hurt and he was disappointed in Sam for letting the shield go. Right?
Yeah,
I didn't have to hear it out of Bucky's mouth. I saw it. But we're gonna kind of steamroll past this because we're gonna get to the next scene where we have Sam getting ready to go on a mission. Sam is coming down. He's looking at the picture of the new Captain America, and he's kind of shaking his head, distraught. And here we got Agent Torres is with him, ride with him. Agent Torres is like his partner at this point. And now
could be a hero. Could be a new hero. Could be a new hero. Spoiler work. Could be a new hero.
Could be a new hero. He could be a new hero. We don't know yet. But we have him. Bucky show up, and Bucky starts in right away. Shouldn't have gave away the shield. Shouldn't have gave away the steel. And Sam was like, he was like, man, I did what I did. What you want me to do? Call America and say, hey, I made a mistake? and Bucky was like, that's not what Steve would have wanted. You know that. Did you know that they were going to do this? And that's a real feeling, right? Yeah. That's a real feeling because, taking advantage of people is what the government does. So maybe Sam was in with the government, but then he realizes that Sam wasn't. All right. So this interaction between, I don't want to spoil what Bucky said, but let's talk about that interaction between Sam and Bucky. What did you guys think right off when you saw that?
Well, it just brought back once again the little camaraderie that they're building between these two characters. It was good to find. This was our initial time seeing them together. And there's already fiction. There's already friction there, like you said, because Bucky understood what Sam had given up. I mean, and like you said, the scene where they just show his face as the, John Walker's talking, you just see the disgust. It's like, dude, really? And knowing what Bucky meant to, and then there's a line that we're going to get to later on that just cemented what Bucky was going through. I mean, definitely most powerful line of the show. I'm not going to get ahead of that scene, but where we're going later on is a clear indication of what he was dealing with as a result of what Falcon did. But it was cool to see them on the screen, and then we get the jet scene, and yeah, so it's good to see them finally connected.
The big three comment.
yeah. Androids, aliens, and wizards.
Yeah, that's a trip, man. Hey, but I want to point out something else that that goes back to even the first time we was introduced to Steve Rogers and James Buchanan Barnes. When we first saw those two guys together on the big screen, Steve Rogers was getting hauled out in the alley, and it was like, I could do this all day. It was in Brooklyn, and he was getting, beat down pretty bad. And Bucky came in and rescued him, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then as you go through that movie, you see that Bucky is always the man until Steve gets the formula, right? Mm-hmm. And there was an awkward transition of Bucky taking the back seat to Steve. I mean, I personally believe, even from knowing the comic books, that's why Bucky got, basically killed or became the Winter Soldier, because he was trying to outdo Steve. He was, because Steve was, when he became the Cap, he was the man. So, Bucky's done put all kind of effort and energy with just taking a back seat to Steve, because he knows the content of his character and he really knows who he is. So now for him to see, basically he's like, man, you a bum. He's basically, John Walker, you's a bum. You don't deserve to have, there's no way. And, Sam, I know you a little bit, but I trust Steve more than I know you. So, that's what I was picking up on, man.
Yeah, the whole line was like, Sam calls him Buck. You're like, you can't call me that.
Yeah, for sure.
Only Steve could call me that, and Steve had a plan. You don't have a plan.
Yeah, yeah. And so, the whole thing, G, you just brought up, man, is real. Like, and we're gonna dive into that a little bit here in a minute too, because this is what I'm saying about Steve Rogers. Say what you want. Steve Rogers in the very beginning, Bucky may have been more physical and physically stronger than Steve in the beginning, but nobody could out-heart Cap. And his virtues were right.
Right.
Cap had virtues and everything set up because he wasn't physically strong and dominating.
But that's why Erkson. That's why Erkson gave him the formula. Like Big G said, he saw that he had the heart. It didn't matter that, you know, whatever grit or whatever physicality didn't matter at that point, because he knew that what was on the inside, that was going to override all that other stuff. So yeah, man. I mean, he did it. He was who he was because he had the heart to do it.
Up until he actually stayed in the future,
got selfish.
He made the right decisions, and he would always take and be virtuous in his decisions. He was always virtuous in his. The only one time he got selfish, messed everything up. But okay, all right, we'll give you that. You know what I'm saying? We all make mistakes.
Hey man, I would have did it for Peggy. I would have did it for Peggy too, y'all. I'm sorry. Peggy, a beautiful woman, boy. I would have had
your head pop off. Make your head pop off.
That British accent too. Oh man, it's over.
But so now we're on the plane. We're on the plane and we're getting close to the drop. And the funny thing is these guys are having a stare off, you know, and not only just a stare off, Bucky's waiting on him to move. They're like, you know, he's jumping, flinching, like, what? Where you going? Oh. So, you know, they get up. You know, Sam puts in the earbud, getting ready, and he's like, you know, so what's the play? And he was like, you know,
you don't say nothing.
Don't say nothing, right? and Sam says, Buck says, oh, so there isn't no plan, you know. And here he goes. They keep yelling out the time for the jump. And this is what I find interesting. I need to ask this question because I got to ask the question for me, and I'm asking for our listeners, okay? This is something that's weird. So Sam goes out. Now, what we know of the Winter Soldier is that he has this arm that's vibranium, that he's taken the super soldier serum, right? But this brother just survived a 200-foot fall. 200. How, Sway? Can somebody on this program tell me how this brother survived a 200-foot fall? And when he fell, it didn't sound like it was like a regular person hitting the ground. It was just long, boom. Can somebody answer this question on this program, please?
Well, you answered it yourself. He has a super soldier serum, and if you notice, he hit the trees first, so that cushioned him. I mean, even though it was painful, but he hit the trees first, and then he hit the ground. So, and if you think about it, Captain America did the same thing, but Captain America, I think, was a little bit more trained in the process because remember, he jumped out the plane and landed in the water. So he without a parachute. Remember in Winter Soldier, dudes like, did he just jump out the plane? Like, yeah, he just did. You know, so Cap hit water, which I would think water might be more a little just as painful as hitting the ground, but Cap he went in the water. So I don't know. And he was much higher than 200 feet when he jumped out of that plane and went a soldier. So I don't know, man. Super soldier serum might make him, you know, susceptible to big falls, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you know, from the comic book world, it is. You know, I mean, actually, to be honest, this was a deep cut. And, you know, people might say it's not, but I think it is. You know, in the comic books, even when you go all the way back to James Hewlett's involvement with the super soldier, and for y'all that don't know who James Hewlett is Logan, aka Wolverine. You know, they always was dropping guys behind enemy lines. They had to be stealth to drop them into situations because if they saw them coming, they would be able to prepare. So, you know, to see this dude dropped in like that, not only was it a throwback to the comics, because when you go back, you see Wolverine get thrown out the plane, you see Cap jump out of plane, you see Bucky do it, and your Winter Soldier do it. You see every person that's ever had a super soldier formula or a radius of a super soldier formula go in and out like that. So to see that, you know, and then I really want y'all to think about Super Soldier personified is Credible Hulk. Credible Hulk jumps. He don't fly. This Joker jumps.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
true.
know he goes thousands of feet up in the air, and then he lands like 2 miles away. So you know that's like a all, you know, honor the comic book, throwing back, showing you on a subtle way what type of powers these guys actually have.
Yeah, shout out to Ang Lee. Shout out to Ang Lee's Hulk, because he's the one. That's the one movie, Big G, that actually showed him actually doing it. They have not yet. I don't know why nobody's done that in any other shows, but yeah, he jumping up into the air and he landing in another state. Jumping way up.
I think it's 50 miles, right, G? He can jump 50 miles.
At his baseline strength, when he's really like, he's mad, but he ain't super mad, he can jump 50 miles. When he's in Hulkbuster form, he can jump a continent. He can jump a whole continent. You know, when he's Hulkbuster. Yeah, so he can jump from Cali to New York. When he's at full throttle, Worldbuster Hulk, he can jump from Cali to New York.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, what do you do while you're up there? I mean, seemed like he wouldn't be that mad no more when he get ready to come down. I mean, it seemed like me. I mean, maybe, but you know, he said he's always angry. So, all right. So we're gonna get to this. So they land, and of course, you know, at this point, Red Wing is torturing Bucky, you know, like Red Wing always does. And we get to the warehouse, and they're talking about something that I think is very important. It's a callback. He said, you know, you was in Wakanda, so now you think you like White Panther? And he was like, nah, more like White Wolf. What did you guys think when y'all heard that throwback and that call in the actual the show that we're watching right now? How did that make you guys feel? Because I know it excited me when I heard him say he was White Wolf. What'd you think, Dane?
It just made me know that he just appreciated the people of Wakanda for what they did for him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, they helped that brother and turning point in his life, get him to where he is now, man. So yeah, that's what I thought of, is just appreciation for what they did for him and the fact that they honored him with that title. And so Sam got kind of mad because he's like, huh? They didn't give me a name. I was there. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, for sure, it was a definitely deep cut comic book throwback, you know, for James Buchanan to be recognized as the White Wolf. You know, the White Wolf is a huge character as far as Wakanda is concerned. And I believe moving forward, we're going to see this. We're going to see his character, Sebastian Shaw, in the Wakanda series and in the Marvel series. I really do believe we're going to see that. But the thing that I really liked about it was how he was pointing out a social justice issue, but like in your face and real with it. You know, he's like, nah, I'm not a Wakandan. I'm not black. I'm white, but I roll with them. So don't get it twisted. You know, yeah, I'm not White Panther, but I'm White Wolf. And I'm down with the cause. I'm down with a group of people that's willing to work with me to help me. You know, so that's, you know, I like that aggressive tone and Bucky's talk, man. You know, he knows. I think now that was like even like a thing where it said like he knows who he is, man. He's like, look, man, I know I'm cool. I'm cool with being white, you know. But the question is, Sam, are you cool with being black? Because I know who I am, you know. So I like that. I like that aggressive tone in Bucky, man.
And I like the fact that, like you said, comic book. If we go back comic book canon, you know, White Wolf was like second in command into the Wakandan army. And actually, if I'm thinking right, he challenge for the throne at one point?
At one point in the comic book, he actually carried the mantle of the leader of Wakanda. But when T'Challa and the White Wolf settled it off, he actually became the head of the door. You know, like for y'all that don't know, that's the Secret Service of Wakanda. You know, he became the head of the Dora Milaje. You know, so he was like the head of security, head of everything. And, you know, T'Challa and him trusted each other. So you know, and, you know, God rest his soul, Chadwick Boseman gone from us. I really do believe that, you know, we're going to see Sebastian Shaw make an appearance, man, into the show, yeah.
Yeah, man. So now, Sam sneaks up on him and he's like, well, let's go. We can take him. Bucky was like, we can take him, man. We got him. Like, I got this vibranium arm. I'm ready to let loose on these jokers. And, Sam had to tell him, hey, man, look, there's more to meets the eye. There's more people than you know. And then we get this thing where they're just picking up these boxes like they're just stuffed animals. I mean, they're just picking up boxes like this, and, walking around with it like they're marshmallows floating around, woo, and when they're like, wow, super strong, right? They're thinking. And then Red Wing spots someone in the truck. So this scene was dope, like just fly. Sam takes off running, and Bucky takes off running, and he is gone. I'm talking about out of here. Catches the truck, jumps on it, opens it up, and at this point, I'm like, man, whew. What was you thinking, Dave? What was your thought when you saw this?
Yeah, man. I mean, he just like back in the when the cars was going by when he was running after Black Panther. It's the same situation, man. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But I was like, in my mind, I'm like, how did they? I guess because he saw somebody in the truck, he just assumed. But I'm like, dude, why would you assume? You're supposed to be a soldier. You shouldn't be assuming that that's a hostage. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't tied up. She just sitting in the back, and you assume that she a hostage. And then I would have really, once she put that little creepy smile on, I would have been like, oh no, he should have been in fight mode right then and there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The crazy thing is, why didn't Bucky trust why didn't he trust Red Wing? Why didn't he?
That's because that's Sam's tech.
Yeah, but he hates technology too, man. Yeah. He hate because technology. He gets his mind wiped, man. Every time.
That's the truth.
They wipe
That's
him
a good
out,
point.
Man.
That's a good point.
Now, hey, check this too. Did you notice that there was almost like an internal fight going on with Bucky Barnes? And with him, Winter Soldier, when he run into the situation, it's kill everybody, no witnesses. So this is like his first time hero mode. So he's like scared, walking soft, like, she's just a hostage. We're gonna be okay and all. He's like even hesitant in telling Sam what he's saying in the headset. So like, we're actually seeing Winter Soldier become a hero in front of our eyes, man.
Right.
He's not a bad guy no more. So because before he had entered that truck, everything that was even close to breathing was out of there. Even the guys up in the front, they was gone, man. So like for him to jump into a hostile situation, everybody else changing the dynamic of the character,
Absolutely. And then we find out that this nice little sweet, young, innocent looking girl has super soldier serum, and she knocks that brother in the next week. He goes flying out of the truck. And he hits the front of the window. And at this point, the fight ensues its own. So, we see Bucky getting hemmed up by two super soldiers. He could not move, because he was getting hemmed up. And here comes Sam and Red Wing, and she jumps up. She catches Red Wing. And the funny thing is he said, I've always wanted to do that. so he was able to keep his composure. Now, here's the moment where I know that he has taken the super soldier serum, because here comes Agent Walker. He didn't come out of a rope like his friend did. The man jumped on to an actual rolling truck. A regular person ain't doing that. A regular person ain't jumping on a truck like that and land straight. No, come on, man. It's not happening. That's a super soldier move. And I just feel like he took it. What you guys think, man? I just feel like he's already had it. Him himself.
I don't think so, man. I really don't think so.
So can you
just a good dude? He's a good soldier. He's just Why think of think of the time frame. He's won 3 Medal of Honors. So that means they would have gave him the super soldier serum a long time ago. See what I'm saying? So he's just a good soldier. He's just an exceptional soldier. He is. I agree with Sean. He's gonna take it. I believe he is gonna take it because U.S. agent, he does take the serum. In fact, I think Battlestar takes it before him, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But he hasn't taken it yet, man. They would have shown us that. I really believe they would have shown us that.
I mean, he jumped out of an airplane onto a moving truck.
No, man.
He's a soldier, man.
Why didn't he jump like his partner did?
Well, because you got to remember, he's the apex of a human being. He's the top-notch human being on the planet. Like, this guy with no enhancements is ace number 1. They done tested this dude. They done studied him and all whatever else. They know what he can and can't do, right? So that's why I'm telling you no. And what I know even more so is because he got hauled out. Like with the type of like the persona that this guy has, and like how he just goes in and just smashes people. If he's a super soldier. What you need a gat for? Exactly. He actually pulled the gat and shot at somebody. You super soldier, you snatching cats up. I'm beating the brake shoes off of you. No, he got handed. He got it handed to him.
So he didn't exactly get handled in this scene, Sean. And in this scene, in this setting, he had they had LeVar. Oh man, what's his last name? Well, Battlestar Hoskins. LeVar Hoskins. They had him in a chokehold, so he had to shoot him. He couldn't get over there fast enough. So and that kind of points out the type of hero that we have in Agent Walker, because Cap ain't using guns like that, right? But to my point, after everything, how he used the shield and threw it up under Battlestar and caught him, actual usage of the shield, that's great. We see that. But here's the thing: an average man jumping on top of a moving truck, then an average man getting kicked into the window of a car, rolling on the ground, is gonna live, y'all. So that means you're average. Oh, so I totally disagree. This is the first disagreement that we've had on Marvelous Talk. It's the first, you guys. I totally disagree. I vehemently believe in my heart of hearts this guy's already taken the super soldier serum. I just don't see how there's any way possible that this man can survive being kicked off a moving truck into the window of a car, and the suit can do so much absorption, and he just roll all on the ground. Like, no, come on, man.
So throwback, call back to the Incredible Hulk movie. Think about Pulaski before he took the formula.
Very good point.
Think about Pulaski before he took it. Right, Pulaski was in there trying to go to war with the Incredible Hulk, dog.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know.
Everything was broke.
No, yeah, but what I'm saying is the Incredible Hulk. Right? He should have died. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was in there trying to battle the Incredible Hulk one-on-one, and then got pissed after he was like, I can't beat this thing. I need some enhancements. So like, I need to get something where the playing field is level. Mm-hmm. So, Pulaski was in there battling. He was like, he wasn't giving the Hulk business. But what I'm saying is, you're seeing another human being that has apex, pinnacle type, off the scale, off the top soldier. So Pulaski did some crazy stuff in that movie, man. And I was like, how in the world can a human being do? But I seen him do it. I mean, I'm still amazed at the fact that the dude can throw the shield. And throw the shield away. But, we've already seen it in the trailers. Sam throws the brake shoes off the shield. I saw Sam do a double backflip and catch the shield. And that's something that we argue with about how can dude do that? Because they train him. They train, they go into apex, man. Apex mode.
Like I said, something that important. Think of the way the MCU set up. And we always say Kevin Feige don't waste anything. If that would have been important for us to know that he had already taken it, we would know it. Or we're going to know it. But like I said, I think just what Sean said, based on that, I think something he's gonna have, and this is just me predicting down the road. I think he's gonna have another encounter with them people that he's really gonna get his behind whipped, and he's gonna say the same thing like Plowski, like, man, y'all need to inject me with something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to level the playing field.
You heard it here first, Marvelous Talk, folks. I predict that he's already had the serum. Big G, Dame say he hadn't.
Dame, look, Dame, we're going to say moving forward, serum equals Fisto. Serum equals Fisto. Serum equals Fisto. He's rabbit holing, y'all. He's rabbit holing. He's down the hole. Believe me.
Or serum equals Professor X.
Yeah. So listen. So now we've got, Sam and Buck walking, and here they go. They're walking and they're talking, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. First and foremost, they agreed that these were super soldiers. They were like, "Yo, these are super soldiers," because Sam had saved Bucky when Bucky got knocked down and was getting whooped, and he ran under, got him. Excellent bit of flying. Sam is cold. I just want y'all to know Sam can fly the mess out those wings. Real talk. Yeah. And so they're walking and they're talking, and up pulls Agent Walker and LaVar. Up Lamar. Two guys. Yeah. And they both look at them with disgust, like,
and keep walking, just pass them.
Yeah, are you in my face? What is it? Now, here's another thing that irked me about Agent Walker. He was like, "How did y'all find us?" And he was like, Red Wing. It's government tech, and I'm the government. Wow. That's where we going, Mr. Cocky? You the government? Mm-hmm. You're the government? How did that just register with you guys? How did y'all feel about that?
Sadly, he was telling the truth. It's a sad reality that these people are not. And then once again, it's a lot of, once again, we bring that social commentary into it, that the government, sad to say, they always got their hands in something at the end of the day. And we're seeing it exemplified even in Sam's tech, you know what I'm saying? Which is interesting, because if it's Stark tech, then how in the world has it become the government's tech? Which I don't understand. Stark is the one that created it, but it's the government's. So I just don't understand that logic. But
how are you the government, sir? You've been here for 2 minutes. You still wet behind the ears.
Well, he's a representative of them, so I guess he's a representative. Yeah, he got the authority of them. He's walking in the name of them, so I guess he can boldly say that. But yeah, it was foul, no doubt, that they can't do their job without being monitored and pretty much commandeered by this dude. So,
well, I seen that, and to the show, I'm not being, racial when I say this, but we've seen this same mindset and mentality happen in broad daylight, in open air in our country. It's the spirit of entitlement. It's the spirit of privilege, that he was speaking from. And I don't know if it's necessarily even white or black issue, but I know it was the spirit of entitlement and the spirit of privilege. That's and true. That dude was like, man, I'm the one. And we saw this happen when the Capitol got stormed, right? And on modern day times, those jokers, people can go down that white-black issue and all whatever else they want to, but more than anything, they came from the spirit of entitlement and privilege. They're like, nobody's going to do nothing to me if I storm the Capitol. Nobody's going to arrest me. This is mine, and that's sort of like what this Walker dude was talking from.
Yeah, and it was funny with his conversation, because he says this what he said, man. It was so funny. What was funny to me was Bucky. Bucky's like, we ain't gonna call you Lamar Hoskins. Well, he's like, well, my call sign is Battlestar. Bucky's like, Battlestar.
Deep cut. But listen, no. Deep cut. It's gonna come back into play. Bucky Barnes fought Battlestar in the war overseas. Battlestar was so Isaiah Bradley was the first Cap, right? That we know, right? As far as the comic book, his sidekick's name was Battlestar. So that was like almost Bucky's like, wait a minute, because remember he done had some experience with this stuff. He knows, Bucky knows a lot of stuff, and we're gonna get into that, you know. But so like when he was like, stop the car, nah. So that was him having almost like a flashback moment, and that was a throwback to the comics, man. But Bucky done dealt with Battlestar before.
But the vibe that I got from him, Big G, was like, y'all boys is playing games. Y'all
like, this is disgusting.
Y'all playing games. Battlestar, stop the car. I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear that. This trash. Like, who are you?
Like what's his name? Obi-Wan Kenobi? You know, like if you Battlestar, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, who are you guys? You know, really? Are we playing Star Wars or we playing Marvel? I mean, we playing Hero? What we doing?
Yeah, and then the John Walker just straight disrespectful line is that, you know, it'd be awesome if I had Captain America's right hand wingman by my side. Really?
Disrespectful. And Sam
said always that last line.
Always that last line. It's always that last line.
Place of privilege.
That was the privilege shouting right there. The privilege was shouting big time with that statement.
Yeah, definitely. And at this point, we see Sam and Bucky get in the jet, and they're on their way back. But, you know, Sam is feeling disgusted. He's like, man, we're no closer to an answer. And Bucky's like, yeah, there's something I need to show you, you know, some I need to tell you. So here we go. And we make this trip to Maryland. And, you know, they're walking up a street. Couple of great exchanges here. Kids said, oh, it's the Black Falcon, you know? And he was like, no, it's just Falcon. He's like,
that's what my daddy said.
He's like, what do you mean? Black Falcon, like I'm black and I'm Falcon? He's like, yeah. And he was like, oh, so you're Black Kid. He's like, hey, no. And he's like, yeah, I got him,
Got him.
Here is, we're dealing with it. Marvel is hitting it head first. They are not running. This is what we're talking about. And we're going to have a conversation about race. And you guys are going to watch it. You guys are going to be informed. And you're going to see things that you haven't seen before. But we want you to see them. And you're not going to run. I appreciate that. Bravo. 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 Now, the next scene we get to is one that me and Big G done talked about. And hey, man, if you've ever seen anybody talk with swagger and said it with their chest, the youngster at the door said it with his chest. They knock at the door. He's like, hey, we here to see Isaiah Bradley. And he was like, yeah, ain't no Isaiah Bradley here. And he was like, yeah, I need to see him. He was like, you not getting in this house.
You can leave right now.
Yeah.
You can leave.
Hey, that's big talk. That's big talk. Now, we're going to find out later why this is big talk from this youngster. What did y'all think when y'all saw this scene, man? What was going through your head?
Oh, man, I loved it because basically, like you said, this kid, what it was, man, you showed that whoever Isaiah is to him, which I have my own theories of who this is that we saw at the door. And we'll talk about that later. But I think that he's guarding his relative. He's guarding him from any past issues that may be trying to, you know, come back on the scene. So just show the love of a relative, trying to protect a relative from past and hurt, and, you know, which we gonna see more of later on as we're talking about this scene. But yeah, that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, you know, without spoiling it, man, and, you know, to give a little point to it, you know, only people that has power is gonna talk like how that young man talked at the front door. I mean, here's two grown men that show up to their front door that look like, you know, they could handle their business. You know, they look war affected, and this young man looked at them like, look, man, you know, you could do whatever, but it's about to go down. And I didn't see no gun, no shotgun, no knife, no nothing. So only people with power talk from strength. You know, so but I don't want to spoil it. So go ahead, Mom. Do your thing.
You're not spoiling it at all because the end credits, the young man is listed as, drum roll please, Eli
Bradley,
right? So if he's listed as Eli Bradley, we all know who Eli Bradley is.
Yeah, that's Patriot. Leader of the Young Avengers, for those that might not know.
So
we're definitely not jumping the gun. We're definitely not jumping the gun.
Right. So this is the setup, you know, for the comic book thing. But I gotta just throw something in real quick. We saw Wanda's two kids who in the comic book become later on in reality, and they mutants, right? Mm-hmm. Elijah Bradley is a mutant too. Mm-hmm. Patriot is a mutant. You know, he was born with it. He didn't have it like injected and serumed and all whatever else. That boy was born with it. You know, so, you know, I don't know what Kevin Feige's up to, but he's sort of like throwing breadcrumbs down that whole mutant thing. And it's getting sort of live, you know.
Well, even Young Avengers, because you got pretty much the majority of them already kind of established. You got Casey Lang, you know, Ant-Man's daughter. You got we're gonna have Kate Bishop later on with the Hawkeye series. So it's getting in that direction too with the Young Avengers.
Definitely, we're already in this whole thing. And he's done already introduced 4 mutants already. And if you haven't noticed, we keeping count. It's 4 mutants, 4 people who we know are going to have powers towards the end of this whole thing. Now, Isaiah Bradley, we told you last show that you were going to see Isaiah Bradley. They kind of hit it in the end credits, and we knew that you were going to see it, right? And here we go. We have this exchange between Bucky. He basically was saying, you know, I had to see if you got your arm back. Isaiah Bradley told him, man, I had to see if you got your arm back or you were here to kill me, right? And Sam is totally confused at this point. He's like, what is going on? Who is this guy? So Bucky fills him in and tells him, hey, man, you know, this guy, you know, him and I had an engagement together. I knew him back in 51. And he was like, yeah, if you mean me whooping your behind in an engagement, yeah, absolutely. We had an entanglement, you know. And then, you know, he goes on to tell him, you know, what happened. And he took half of Bucky's arm. Now, think about his battle with Cap. I mean, in order for Isaiah Bradley to take the Winter Soldier's arm, and this is a younger Winter Soldier. This is a more vibrant Winter Soldier. And this man, Isaiah Bradley, is a bad man. You hear me? He is a bad man. He must be over 100. Still a bad man. I mean, definitely. What you think about this, G? How did this scene make you feel, man?
Well, you know, comic book wise, Isaiah Bradley is Weapon 1. Unlike what everybody else thinks, or, you know, I've watched a lot of commentary on YouTube and everybody's like, well, no, Steve Rogers was the first. Nah, y'all are wrong. I'm telling you, go back, do your research in the comic books. The Weapons Plus program, Weapon Zero was first. Weapon Zero comes along later in the 2020s as far as the character line is concerned, but Isaiah Bradley was Weapon 1. Weapon 1 was given a higher dose of serum of the super soldier that sort of like makes him more aggressive. So, you know, we'll get into that whole thing about the Weapons Plus program, if not on this show, but on another one. But I'm telling y'all, Isaiah Bradley had the super soldier formula way before Steve Rogers had it. Do your research, look it up. Don't believe me, go and look it for yourself. He had it first.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And then Isaiah Bradley gets aggravated at this point, you know, which he should. Now, let's really talk. Well, no, I'm just going to drive to the end of this block. So they get out the house, and Isaiah's agitated. He throws this case through a wall, a metal case through a wall. As you would see in some of the trailers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam threw the shield through a tree, but y'all still ain't hearing me. But anyway, And, same reminiscent. They ain't think that, I'm being crazy, but it's same thing. You do a case through a wall, Sam through the shield through a tree. So say what you want to say, the man got discerned. But anyway, he comes out the house and he said, hey, man, you mean to tell me there was a super soldier, a black super soldier that existed this long and ain't nobody told nobody? You ain't told nobody? Right? And he was like, man, I didn't say anything because he had been through enough. See, you got to understand. You got to understand who Steve Rogers was. Steve Rogers was the type of individual that he wouldn't have let that stand. He would have pissed on the Capitol, broke everything to make sure that Isaiah Bradley got noticed. They apologized, and that all of this thing was made right. That's just who Steve was. Now, think about that from Isaiah's standpoint. Yeah, Steve would have been going to bat for him, but Isaiah had already been through a lot of trauma. And sometimes when you done been through that much trauma, sometimes. When you've been through that much trauma, all you really want is peace. So, Bucky actually made the best decision, which at this point, right, we're going to get to that conversation in a minute, but at this point, it showed that there was good in Bucky this whole time, because Bucky made a judgment call. You know what I mean? He's known about this man since 51, but he made a judgment call that was really a good judgment call on somebody else's behalf, right? Saying, hey, man, I just want him to have peace. Yeah. That's it.
So the issue with that we're looking at the MC, and I'm just giving for clarification. I know what Sean said as far as the comic version of the Isaiah Bradley situation, but it seems in this one, because of the time frame, it was 51. Cap was dealing with World War II, so Isaiah looks like he came on after the scene. But it's just ironic, man, that they did what they did to this man. They experimented on him, they used him, and we never heard no more about it. And like you're saying, if Steve Rogers would have been on the scene, he would have exposed it. So, and you can understand his frustration, because with Bucky coming back on the scene, it's rehashing old memories. You know what I'm saying? It's bringing back those old traumas that he had. So that's why the man's like, get out of my house. This is my sanctuary. This is my refuge. And y'all coming here bringing this mess. So you really understand him and what he's going through during that moment, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when you really look at it from a social justice standpoint or society standpoint, it's the frustration of a lot of African-American people that are still alive that was, doing their thing in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. I mean, that's really what I picked up on. It was almost like I was having a conversation with my grandfather. About what was going on and how he didn't like and all whatever else. But he went to jail for 30 years for stealing a Captain America uniform. That's comic book. So they brought the comic books right into the TV show. He went to jail. They court-martialed him for stealing a Captain America uniform, man. He did 30 years in prison for taking a uniform. I mean, when you really think about that, as far as our society, they got cats in jail and prison that, they didn't really, look at the political prisoners that's in the United States of America. People in jail for nothing, so, that's just what I saw,
I mean, forget it. You got Hawkeye running around here who done killed a whole bunch of folks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got amnesty handed out like Pez, but this man was in jail for 30 years for stealing the uniform. Listen, Marvelous Talk listeners, this is what I'm talking about with Marvel addressing the elephants in the room. This man went to jail for stealing a Captain America suit that has been given away freely to another man, right? To another man who didn't deserve the suit. And forget that. You used him to go and handle something that nobody else could handle. Why didn't y'all send Captain America then? Why didn't y'all send? He had the same powers. No, you sent Isaiah Bradley. And so if you sent him, he has the right to wear the suit. But no, you don't want him to wear the suit. Why don't you want him to wear the suit, America? Let's talk to you. Why don't you want him to wear the suit? What's wrong with him wearing the suit? Could it be the color of his skin? Is that what you didn't like? And here's the big thing. We left that whole situation, and now you got Bucky and Sam on the street having a conversation, right? And
be more of all places.
Yeah, that's a bad place.
Chocolate City, man. They in Chocolate City. They in the blackest city in America.
Yeah, man, that's a bad place to have an argument.
White man and a black dude having a conversation. Here comes Mr. Johnny Law. Johnny Law comes up to him and say, "Hey, man, is this man
bothering you?"
What?
In Baltimore.
Let me see your ID. Let me see your ID. But warning, young black men, don't do what Sam did, please.
No, don't. This was still a TV show. Let's be compliant. African American men, let's be compliant. Know your rights.
Right.
Know your rights. Stay within your rights, but be compliant. Now, here's the deal, right? Bucky had to tell him, "Hey, man, do you know who this is? Like, do you know who this man is?" And then he snaps to himself and
Avengers. Avengers.
Yeah, now he's fumbling around. And it brought me back to the bank situation. Oh, you cool with us? And it matches with the Isaiah Bradley situation. Oh, you cool with African American men doing things for you? You cool with our culture propping you up, playing your theme songs, playing your music? Oh, you cool with that? But you ain't cool with us representing you. You ain't cool with giving the things that you would give freely to other people. Had that been Captain America had that been Steve Rogers that went into a bank, he came out with a loan.
Oh man, give him a break. He didn't recognize him because he didn't have the goggles on.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's called a microaggression for y'all that don't know. That's a microaggression. So
absolutely. So I'm coming heavy on this because Marvel is coming heavy on this. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is coming heavy on this, and I want y'all to see it. They laid it out perfect. There's so many layers going on right now. So many layers. And that we should be having, this should force us, America, to have real conversations about race relationships.
But once again, my point.
And social injustice.
My point that I brought up earlier to the individuals that say, I don't want to watch no TV show to get no social commentary. I want to watch it for entertainment. But those individuals, those are the people who don't want to deal with the situations in society that we have. And that's why we have the problems, because we don't deal with them. We want to push them under the rug and act like they don't exist.
Yeah. And they're not going to go away.
And they're screaming in your face, but you don't want to make them, you don't want to face them because they make you feel uncomfortable. The way you make things feel uncomfortable is you deal with them. You don't ignore them and push them aside. You deal with them. You have dialogue and you talk about them, man.
Right. So check this out. You know, we're different people when we're not on camera with you guys, Marvelous, right? So we have friends and family members and people that are around us that are very famous. You know, we're not gonna name drop people, but like when I'm telling you, we can reach and touch the stars. All of us in this circle can do that, right? And we've all been in those scenarios where somebody that was an African American that was with us, and we was looked at or viewed as African Americans until they recognized who that famous individual was. Whether they was an athlete or an entertainment or a music person, when they recognized who that person was, it was like every door and everything got open. So Marvel literally took that and threw that up on the screen. You know, so there's a lot of like social, So like I'm not good enough by being black and not being famous. So I'm not okay with that. I can't have a conversation with a person in the middle of the street because I'm black and I'm not an athlete. I'm not LeBron James. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those type of people. So, that's something that a lot of black people feel, because we felt a certain kind of way from the show, but we feel just like, okay, like in many ways, we're not good enough until something happens. Everything from Trayvon Martin to, the trial going on in Minnesota right now. It's like, man, we ain't good enough till something happens, man. So Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Kevin Feige. Thank you for the directors of the show for helping heal my trauma.
Shout out to Malcolm Spellman. Great writing.
Yeah,
Great
he'll help me get through some hard issues.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you guys, man, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but we're definitely going to be talking about this more as we matriculate and move on. So what ends up happening is Bucky had a warrant. Bucky had a warrant for his arrest. And instead of
interesting, the white man went to jail.
Instead of Sam going to jail, Bucky went to jail. And basically, so here we are. Bucky is in jail. Here comes his therapist, and we see his therapist come, and he's like, "Well, thank you for getting me out." And his therapist is like, "Nah, I didn't do it. Somebody else did it." And basically, we find out that somebody else is Bing, 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 Agent Walker. And Agent Walker is like, "Yeah, once again, I'm the government. I can pull the strings. I won't listen. He ain't gonna be making it into counseling because I need him. He gonna be rolling with me here pretty soon. So just go on.
You too, Sam. You too, Sam.
Yeah, he's like, go on and take care of what y'all need to take care of. But they're gonna be rolling with me." So here's the part where we get Sam and Bucky in the counseling room, and it comes out, man. It comes out. Bucky feels like Sam shouldn't have gave up the shield, and he's like, "You shouldn't have gave it up because it makes me feel like if Steve was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me." And you felt that when he was looking at Agent Walker the first time, and he was disappointed because he knew what Cap stood for. And Cap wouldn't have stood for that. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Well, man, Sam, you know what Steve stood for, and you knew he wouldn't have stood for that. So why did you do it?" So see, now Sam hasn't admitted to anyone, not even himself, that he didn't feel worthy enough to carry the shield, and that he knew what came with it, he wasn't going to be able to stand up to. And a lot of the things that he saw that Rhodey was trying to get him to see, he didn't want to look at. And Rhodey was like, "Man, different times call for a different hero." What he meant to say is, you just because you black don't mean you can't be Captain America. That's basically what he was saying. You know what I'm saying?
He's gonna seriously have a come to Jesus, as they say, moment where I think he's gonna realize he can't run from it no more. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where we're gonna go eventually. I'm just once again predicting, but it's gonna get to a point where he and all the predictors are on Walker too. Walker has the perfect specimen to be Captain America, but his character is gonna forfeit him. His character is going to forfeit him from being the actual Captain America, and it's going to be exactly where Steve intended it to be. It's going to be with my man Falcon. So,
yeah, that's straight up comic book, Dane. So good call, good one. That's straight up comic book. What you just said, that's actually canon comic book for sure.
Yeah. So, and then we had the next to the end scene here where they had an interaction with the cronies. The Wish Captain America and his sidekick. When you order from Wish, you get something that look like it, but ain't really it. So we had this interaction, which I thought was very, very poignant, and I thought Sam said some real good stuff. Sam, Agent Walker was telling him, "Hey man, I need you to rock with us. Need your juice. We trade intel." And Sam kind of frisked him like, "What you got?" He was like, "Don't really have nothing." Oh, okay. Well, look, we can't really do business together because you're held by law when I'm a free agent. I can out here pretty much do what I need to do, right? And here comes this entitlement again. But it was a threat.
Yeah.
It was a threat.
Oh, it was a straight up threat.
He said, basically, stay out of my way. If you get in my way, I'm going to get you. He
said, stay the HE double hockey sticks out of my way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and he's basically saying, I'm going to get you. You get in my way, it's on, period. Right? So how did y'all take this threat? Like, how did that make, hearing these words from this guy, how'd that make y'all feel? And I mean, you had this ominous music playing in the background while he was saying it. How did that make you feel, G?
When people tell you who you are and show you who they are, believe them.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the directors of the show, as they're showing us who John Walker is.
Yep.
John Walker is messed up real bad. You know, you can already see this guy villainizing in front of your face. You know, he's becoming a villain. It's almost like the directors are rewriting what a hero means to characters in the MCU. Like they're rewriting the story of a hero. You know, you're going from a guy that was supposed to fit the persona of a hero to, you know, because he has all the physical attributes, the characteristics, the mindset, the look, you know, the blonde hair, blue eyes. He looked like Cap, and he don't fit no more because it's what's inside of him is showing up. You know, they got this famous saying: you give people money and alcohol, they're gonna really show you what they really are. And that, you know, so that's really like what you're seeing with John Walker. He's becoming like, you know, like obsessed with thinking that he's the one. That's what I picked up. You know, Dane, what you think, man?
Absolutely. I mean, what you just said, when he said what he told them, I was like, this is his true colors coming out. We're seeing what's really on the inside of him coming out. And I think honestly, it's just gonna get worse and worse. It's gonna get worse and worse, man. So yeah, true colors definitely came out.
So, you know, definitely we're gonna circle back and then we're gonna talk about the Baron Zemo scene. So the flashbacks, meanwhile, we're going through some things, and we saw a couple of pieces, a couple of great scenes with the Flag Smashers, right? One, we saw them enter a home, and, you know, they were like celebrities in this home, and they're in there, and, you know, the guys made food, his wife's made their beds, and you kind of see that there was one big family. You know, and you also see that there's a cause that they're fighting for. They're just not mercenaries. You know, there's a cause that they feel like they're fighting for. You know, all of the people who have corrupt and came back into power after the blip. So look at this. This kind of feels like we're going to get a setup to where maybe at the end they may be working with Sam and Bucky. You know what I mean? It almost feels like there may be a change because remember, if you guys, we talked about the anti-hero and how that's coming to fruition in this branch of Marvel. You know, and we're in our next phase. You're seeing the anti-hero, and I really believe that the Flag Smashers are being placed up to be an anti-hero. They were bad in the beginning, we thought, and they'll be used in the end. But you saw that they were experienced with tech. They were wiping their faces off the internet, wiping everything off. And then you see this interesting text that comes through. This interesting text that came through. And then, of course, one of them dies trying to defend the airplane. this whole interaction was wild.
And they mentioned the name. They mentioned the name.
The Power Broker.
The Power Broker.
Now, didn't we? I think we said it here on Marvelous. We talked about the Power Broker. We saw it, and they keep it. They kept it at the end credits again. So the Power Broker is somebody who's working, and the Power Broker has the ability to give power. And I think that power that he's given is this super soldier serum that they handing out like pets. I mean, everybody got it. You know, me and Dave was gonna get a shot. You know, we were thinking about it. We might be super soldiers. You know, he said he's all right. He don't need it. You know, he might go to the hole. Me and Dave, we're thinking about it. You know, we're thinking about it. But seriously, you guys, what did you think about this whole thing that we saw with the Flag Smashers?
I mean, they're still kind of to be determined. We don't know exactly what we know what they want, but how they're going to arrive to it, we don't know how. But the bigger question, I'm serious, I think to me, they're like the zombies on Walking Dead. They're not really the main problem. It's the ones that's pulling the strings behind the scenes. The Power Broker, I think, is going to, when it was all said and done, that's going to be the one that we want to watch. I don't even know how Zemo's involved in all of this. I think that's just smoke and mirrors. He's back, but for what purpose? I mean, Zemo, is he really a threat? I mean, they got him once, they can get him again. You know what I'm saying? So he has his weak, but the ones that's in the shadows is the one, just like I think Palpatine in Star Wars. Always, nobody knew Palpatine. But so the Power Broker, and I have my hypothesis, y'all, of who I think the Power Broker is in the MCU.
Who you think it is, Dane? Who you think, man?
And I think it's Thunderbolt Ross.
Man,
I agree. We 2-1 on this one. Sean, Big G thinks something totally different, but we 2-1 on this one. I mean, I'm honestly, I think it's Thunderbolt Ross. I think, you know, he's the one pulling the strings. I think he's the one that's passing out the super soldier serum like Pez. I mean, honestly. I mean, just passing this thing out, man.
All right, so listen. I'm gonna go real fast, real quick. You know, I'm the rabbit hole guy. I even got a show called The Rabbit Hole, right? So, you know, I go deep conspiracy, man. And like the TV show that made go back and watch movies and all whatever else. I don't think the Power Broker is a person. I think the Power Broker is a program. I think it's Zola. I think Zola, all the way back, they didn't kill Zola as a program. They didn't, you know, because he can't die. He doesn't have a human body anymore. And I think that it's Zola that might be, Thunderbolt Ross might be the muscle, but Zola's the brains. You know, and I think that this is going to lead us up to where you're going to see, you might not see it in this show, but, you know, we're on the verge of like seeing the MODOK type Zola, Baron Zola, MODOK type thing appear in the MCU. That's just me, you know, because I watched it and I'm like, man, how in the world did the Power Broker get the girl's cell phone out in the middle of nowhere? She ain't cocking, you know, Zola's the only person Zola creates algorithms. Like Zola know your move before you make a move. So that's why I'm like, nah. Ross might be the muscle, but Zola's the brain.
Interesting.
That's what I think. You know,
I think that's a good take. I think that's a really good take. And you know, it's interesting. It's interesting, but you know, Thunderbolt Ross, you think it's Zola? We're gonna see. I think that's good. But the last scene we have here is them going to see Baron Zemo. Well, them saying that they're gonna see Baron Zemo, and we go to the prison. Now, the interesting thing about the prison number is that it's the same prison number from Princess Leia, that from definitely from Star Wars. This is, I don't know if they did it intentionally. I'm sure that they probably did, but you know, it's a nice little ode and a nice little salute to Star Wars. What you guys think about that?
Man, I just want to know why every time there's a bad guy somewhere connected with Marvel, they got to be playing chess in the prison. I mean, Magneto, you know, it's like, what's up with chess when you're in prison? It's like, and he's playing by himself. So I'm like, that's what caught my eye. I'm like, he playing chess. So I'm like,
It's a thinking man's game.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's the whole shout to, the whole I'm better than you. The depth of the evil and the depth of characters in the original comic book things. You didn't see a lot of them with powers, but a whole lot of them was thinkers. So, and Baron Zemo, I mean, we're going to get into it as the show goes, but Baron Zemo is a bad boy, y'all. Don't take him light. Don't take him light. He's been playing, these boys out here playing checkers. He's playing chess for real. He done moved like 12 moves ahead. He's a bad boy. You better pay attention to him. So, and they wouldn't have brought him back if he's not going to be an in-depth character. They would have never.
And he gonna have the mask on, so that's really gonna make it off the chain with the mask on.
Yeah, man.
Is he gonna get some powers? Because every time somebody put a mask on, they get some powers.
I bet he do. Well, in the comic book, you even said it, Big G. The tip goes in his neck. The tip goes in his neck. And so, listen. This was a great setup for the next episode because they're trying to find out where they're going. I believe this next episode that we're going to see Madripoor.
I think so too. Yeah,
100%. And we're going to find out how a lot of things are going to move and work moving forward in the MCU. I promise you it's going to be a great episode.
I think the rest of think about it, y'all. We only have 4 episodes left. So stuff about to really accelerate, I think. Just think, WandaVision, we weren't even halfway into it, but we only have 4 episodes left. So
man, y'all, I'm a comic book head, and I love the MCU and all whatever else, but I haven't been staying up late to watch the next episode because a brother got to be up real early in the morning, and I'm on the East Coast. So, I got to be up early in the morning to work. But I promise you, Thursday, man, I'm taking a power nap. I'm going to get me a power drink. Everything I can get my hands on, man, to be able to, some Nodos. I'm probably going to take, everything, just a couple Coca-Colas. I'm taking it to the dome at about like 1:30, man, because I'm not going to bed. I'm so excited for episode 3. I don't know what to do, man. Because I know if Madripoor comes on the screen, I'm gonna wake everybody in my house up with yelling at me, man. I promise you, I'm going off because the X-Men is my thing, man. And if they do Madripoor, they got to go down that rabbit hole, man. So, I'm just hyped, man. I'm so excited, it's unbelievable.
And I mean, the Pretty Bride. If they have a fight in the Pretty Bride, you know whose club that is. You know what I'm saying? If you're a comic book head, you know who club that is.
Oh yeah,
that's the Ring. That's Wolverine Club. You know. So, I mean, like I said, it's just so many things. I mean, Madripoor actually built on a dragon's head. It's supposed to sit on the head of a dragon. See, man,
Fang Fang Fool. I'm
so hype it don't even make sense. I know G is hype. I know Dame is hype. But guess what? We'll be back here at the same bad time, same bad channel, and we'll be breaking that episode 3 down. And listen, man, I'm telling you, I am super excited. If you like what you saw here, please make sure that you smash that subscribe button and hit like, man. Give us a thumbs up. And definitely we want to continue to keep giving you more content, more marvelous content, and more marvelous talk. That's what we do. Your main man, Mod, I'm out with my boy Big G and with my main man, Dane. We'll holler at y'all.
Marvelous, baby.